Good evening and welcome back to another another episode of The Longing. I don't know where I was going with that one, but yes, welcome back to another episode of The Longing. Today we're going to be continuing to read the Iliad by Homer. So let's get going. Really don't know where I was going with that at the start. Book 20. Argument. The Battle of the Gods and the Acts of Achilles. Jupiter, upon Achilles' return to battle, calls a council of the gods and permits them to assist either party. The terrors of the combat described when the deities are engaged. Apollo encourages Cneus to meet Achilles. After a long conversation, these two heroes encounter. But Cneus is preserved by the assistance of Neptune. Achilles falls upon the rest of the Trojans and is upon the point of killing Hector, but Apollo conveys him away in a cloud. Achilles pursues the Trojans with a great slaughter. The same day continues. The scene is in the field before Troy. Thus round Pelides, breathing war and blood, Greece sheathed in arms beside her vessels stood, while near impending from a neighbouring height, Troy's black battalions wait the shock of fight. Then Jove to Themis gives command to call the gods to council in the starry hall. Swift o'er Olympus's 100 hills she flies, and summons all the senate of the skies. These shining on in long procession come to Jove's eternal adamantine dome. Not one was absent, not a rural power that haunts the verdant gloom or rosy bower. Each fair-haired dryad of the shady wood, each azure sister of the silver flood, all but old Ocean, hoary sire, who keeps his ancient seat beneath the sacred deeps. On marble thrones with lucid columns crowned, the work of Vulcan, sat the powers around. Even he whose trident sways the watery rain heard the loud summons and forsook the main, assumed his throne amid the bright abodes, and questioned thus the sire of men and gods. What moves the god who heaven and earth commands, and grasps the thunder in his awful hands? Thus to convene the whole ethereal state, is Greece and Troy the subject in debate. Already met the lowering hosts appear, and death stands ardent on the edge of war. 'Tis true, the cloud-compelling power replies, this day we call the council of the skies. In care of human race, even Jove's own eye sees with regret unhappy mortals die. Far on Olympus's top, in secret state, ourselves will sit and see the hand of fate. Work out our will, celestial powers descend, and as your minds direct, your succour lend. To either host Troy soon must lie o'erthrown, if uncontrolled Achilles fights alone. Their troops but lately durst not meet his eyes, what can they now, if in his rage he rise? Assist them, gods, or Ilion's sacred wall may fall this day, though fate forbids the fall. He said, and fired their heavenly breasts with rage. On adverse parts the warring gods engage. Heaven's awful queen, and he whose azure round girds the vast globe, the maid in arms renowned. Hermes of profitable arts the sire, and Vulcan the black sovereign of the fire. These to the fleet repair with instant flight, the vessels tremble as the gods alight. In aid of Troy Latona Phoebus came, Mars fiery-helmed, the laughter-loving dame. Xanthus, whose streams in golden currents flow, and the chaste huntress of the silver bow. Ere yet the gods their various aid employ, each Argive bosom swelled with manly joy. While great Achilles, terror of the plain, long lost to battle, shone in arms again. Dreadful he stood in front of all his host, pale Troy beheld and seemed already lost. Her bravest heroes pant with inward fear, and trembling see another god of war. But when the powers descending swelled the fight, then tumult rose, fierce rage and pale affright. Varied each face, then discord sounds alarms, earth echoes and the nations rush to arms. Now through the trembling shores Minerva calls, and now she thunders from the Grecian walls. Mars hovering o'er his Troy his terror shrouds, in gloomy tempests and a night of clouds. Now through each Trojan heart he fury pours, with voice divine from Ilion's topmost towers. Now shouts to Simois from her beauteous hill, the mountain shook, the rapid stream stood still. Above the sire of gods his thunder rolls, and peals on peals redoubled rend the poles. Beneath stern Neptune shakes the solid ground, the forests wave, the mountains nod around. Through all their summits tremble Ida's woods, and from their sources boil her 100 floods. Troy's turrets totter on the rocking plain, and the tossed navies beat the heaving main. Deep in the dismal regions of the dead, 260, the infernal monarch reared his horrid head, leaped from his throne lest Neptune's arm should lay his dark dominions open to the day, and pour in light on Pluto's drear abodes, abhorred by men and dreadful even to gods. 261. The gods descending to battle. Such war the immortals wage, such horrors rend the world's vast concave when the gods contend. First silver-shafted Phoebus took the plain against blue Neptune, monarch of the main. The god of arms his giant bulk displayed, opposed to Pallas war's triumphant made. Against Latona marched the son of May, the quivered Dian, sister of the day. Her golden arrow sounding at her side, Saturnia majesty of heaven defied. With fiery Vulcan last in battle stands, the sacred flood that rolls on golden sands. Xanthus his name with those of heavenly birth, but called Scamander by the sons of earth. While thus the gods in various league engage, Achilles glowed with more than mortal rage. Hector he sought, in search of Hector turned his eyes. Hector he sought, in search of Hector turned his eyes around, for Hector only burned, and burst like lightning through the ranks and vowed to glut the god of battles with his blood. Cneus was the first who dared to stay. Apollo wedged him in the warrior's way, but swelled his bosom with undaunted might, half forced and half persuaded to the fight. Like young Lycaon of the royal line, in voice and aspect seemed the power divine, and bade the chief reflect how late with scorn, in distant threats he braved the goddess born. Then thus the hero of Anchises' strain, to meet Pelides you persuade in vain. Already have I met, nor void of fear, observed the fury of his flying spear. From Ida's woods he chased us to the field, our force he scattered, and our herds he killed. Lionessus Pedasus in ashes lay, but Jove assisting I survived the day. Else had I sunk oppressed in fatal fight, by fierce Achilles and Minerva's might. Where'er he moved, the goddess shone before, and bathed his brazen lance in hostile gore. What mortal man Achilles can sustain? The immortals guard him through the dreadful plain, and suffer not his dart to fall in vain. Were God my aid, this arm should check his power, though strong in battle as a brazen tower. And with that, we come to the end of the episode. Again. So, let's sit back down. Making fairly steady progress. Not much to say, so I will say thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, or night. No matter what time of day it is, I hope you all have a wonderful one of it. And as always, we will be back tomorrow for more of The Longing. Goodbye.